Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topic, classic debates, and where we give you a perspective on sports and how we see it. And in today's episode, the topic is why Nick Wright was jealous that Kawhi Leonard was being compared to Michael Jordan. So before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to subscribe to our Dreamerspro Short Clips channel, which we have linked in the description below. We post short clips of our videos, so you don't have to sit back and watch the entire video if you don't have time. So be sure to subscribe to that in the description below. So let's just get straight into the topic here. Now, I think it's a pretty interesting topic, given the fact that Nick Wright is a major voice on TV, and he's a very big, he's one of these people that can really just tarnish the legacy of a player he doesn't like because of his platform. And that's why I want to sort of get ahead of this story. So maybe in the future, if you see Nick Wright coming at Kawhi, you understand why I'm saying that. Now, let's just talk about the reason why I'm saying this. Now, basically, what's the story on Kawhi? Kawhi pretty much came out of nowhere. He wasn't a bit, he didn't have a lot of, hoopla around his name when he came out of college. I think it was San Diego State he went to, where he played, and he came into the NBA to play with the San Antonio Spurs. That's where he was playing for the first, for the majority of his career when he started. And when he was there, he was known as a defensive specialist. He wasn't really a rah-rah guy. He didn't talk a lot, but a lot of that had to do with the fact of the organization he was playing with. San Antonio Spurs players seemed to be understated. They weren't very flamboyant. If you look at Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, these guys, they just sort of went about their business, and that seemed to be sort of the identity of the entire organization, led by Greg Popovich. So there wasn't a lot of flair with the organization. All they did was simply win. And Kawhi Leonard sort of went there and fit the mold. He was a very quiet guy, unassuming, and he was there making a name for himself as a defensive specialist. But as time went on, he began to improve as an offensive player, right? But he wasn't really known for his offense. We really got a chance to see him sort of begin to blossom in the NBA Finals. I believe it was in 2011 or so, or 2012, when I think the Spurs played against the Miami Heat, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe the Miami Heat played against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011. So that's when he really had his chance to go against LeBron James. And that's when people started to take notice of him as a great defensive player. And as time went on, he ended up winning a Finals MVP after losing to LeBron in the Finals that one time due to the clutch shot that Ray Allen hit that Skip Bayless always talks about. But he ended up winning, the Finals MVP for the defense he played on LeBron, and he started to come on later on in the series, scoring 20 plus points per game for the latter part of that series. But as time went on, Kawhi Leonard was still under the radar. But what happened? Greg Popovich told Kobe Bryant at the time at All-Star Weekend, he said, "Hey, listen, please, can you just stay in the air with Kawhi? Just work with him, because I think he can really benefit a lot from spending time with you." And once Kawhi started, training with Kobe, immediately you started to notice a change in his offensive repertoire. The following season, he came back and he averaged 25 points. For the first time of his career, he averaged over 25 points. And players were beginning to take notice, like, hey, man, listen, I heard Kawhi has been working with Kobe. And it looks like it's starting to pay off because the guy's offensive game became much more polished. And we all know Kobe's probably one of the best, top 5 one-on-one players in the history of basketball. Him with Kareem, Jordan, Kobe, these guys, probably Allen Iverson. These guys are just, they know how to score a lot. Kevin Durant. Obviously, so Kobe is there, and that's the guy that Kawhi Leonard had working with him, and immediately you can see Kawhi Leonard added some footwork to his game. He added a turnaround jump shot, a pull-up jump shot, a fadeaway. He started operating from the same spots that Kobe did, and he was a much more improved offensive player. And then what started to happen was people started to notice that Kawhi was kind of playing like Jordan, because Kobe patented his game after Michael Jordan, with the mid-range game, the on-the-ball defense, and the flair. Really, if you watch Michael Jordan play, he has a beautiful basketball game to watch. I mean, his jump shot is pretty. His fall-away shot is pretty. The fadeaway looks beautiful. His acrobatic. Now, Kawhi Leonard is not as graceful in the air as Kobe and Jordan, but he still has the athleticism to pull off some pretty spectacular plays. But the grace part, he doesn't have that. So what ended up happening was Kawhi Leonard steadily getting better. Then he was traded to the Toronto Raptors, right? And that's when things began to get interesting, because he was traded there because things in San Antonio didn't work out because of an injury he had, and he felt like he was misdiagnosed, and the medical staff didn't handle his injury properly. So he didn't play one entire season, and I guess basically just sat out. I don't know the real story. I wasn't there. So he was traded to the Toronto Raptors, and he just sort of went under the radar. Right, we all knew that he was a great player, and at the time, Max Kellerman was saying he was the second best player in the world behind LeBron. That's what Max Kellerman was saying at that time. And for me, I gravitated to Kawhi because Kobe Bryant has been my favorite basketball player of all time. So anyone that kind of looked like a third generation of the Kobe Jordan type of player, I was going to gravitate towards, because Jordan and then Kobe. So when he went to Toronto, he was there. They were under the radar. I think the Toronto Raptors had the number 2 seed for the regular season in the Eastern Conference. And then Kawhi Leonard and these guys just went on this historic tear, on this historic run. And he led the playoffs, points, rebounds, and steals, had the third highest playoff scoring output in the history of the NBA behind Jordan and LeBron. And he won that championship for the Toronto Raptors with a lot of flair. That organization had never won a title. So for this guy to just come there for one season under the circumstances that he was brought there, given the fact that they traded away DeMar DeRozan, acquired him, went into a new situation, a situation that was already sort of percolating on its own, but he integrated himself into a culture that just needed that one final, sort of nudge to get over the hill. And he was the final nudge that they needed to win with that organization, win the first NBA title for that country. It was unbelievable. And the way that he did it, it wasn't a quiet run. He was hitting spectacular shots. There was a lot of drama with the Philadelphia 76ers being down to the Milwaukee Bucks, and then going into the finals with Kevin Durant coming back, and all of the drama that surrounded that. And for them to pull that off when no one was really looking at Kawhi Leonard and these guys, all of a sudden the global media took notice of him. The Canadian market took notice of him. The entire basketball world took notice of him. And people were like just saying, with him being the reigning finals MVP, he's that dude. He's that dude, because he dominated all throughout the playoffs. He dominated. And that's when, all throughout the season, I could see Nick Wright sort of noticing Kawhi. And the murmurs around the league, some people were saying, this is the best player in the world. It's the best player in the world. And then I could see Nick Wright wasn't too pleased about that, because that time I think LeBron had gotten injured, and the Lakers didn't make the playoffs, right? Because he didn't have such a great team, which is understandable. But Nick Wright didn't like that. You could see that. And then this season started when Kawhi Leonard sort of shunned the Los Angeles Lakers when he had the opportunity to sign with them. Instead, he decided to go sign with the Clippers. And I think at that point, Nick Wright said, oh, now you're trying to be in complete opposition to, in my mind, the GOAT, my favorite player of all time. And that's when things started to turn. He started to have a lot of snide remarks, underhanded compliments. He would say about Kawhi, he would find clever ways to insult him a lot on TV, which is something that he's good at doing to players that he feels that comes anywhere close to rivaling LeBron James. So he did that a lot, and I think Nick Wright started to get jealous that Kawhi at this time was starting to be compared to Jordan, because Jordan, yes, he had a great mid-range game and he played hellacious defense. He was for sure one of the best defensive players of all time, certainly the best defensive player at his position of all time. Winning a Defensive Player of the Year award, Kawhi Leonard winning too. So Kawhi playing outstanding all-time great defense. He's been known for that for his career. And then, we saw that on full display when he went up against the Greek Freak, which was, the matchup, was the main matchup of the season last year, at least certainly the matchup of the playoffs, when he went against Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was the most physically imposing basketball player in the world, and just picking him up full court. And obviously he had a lot of great help defense with Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, sort of anchoring the defense behind him, but he was the one guarding him, right? And so Kawhi Leonard has this ability to play all-time great on-the-ball defense, not just help defense, on-the-ball defense, which is something Michael Jordan is notorious for. So him and Jordan was similar in that way, but also the efficiency. Kawhi Leonard would average close to 50% from the field overall shooting, but most of his just like Jordan, but most of his shots will come from the perimeter, from the mid range, and that's where these comparisons were being drawn. When even Kendrick Perkins was saying, "Man, this guy is like Kawhi, Jordan, and all of this." And once Nick Wright started to take notice that this guy was being compared to Jordan rather than LeBron, I think that's when he just went overboard. And you saw the same thing with Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe was a huge Kawhi Leonard supporter when he thought that the Clippers and the Lakers were going to get him. But the minute he found out that the Lakers are not going to get him, if you listen to Shannon Sharpe was coming at Kawhi Leonard so hard, especially after they lost, like as if, LeBron was his son that lost that won the NBA title or something like that. I think the support that Shannon Sharpe has for LeBron James is a little bit sickening. I think it's a little bit weird. I think it's a little bit inappropriate. As a sports commentator, you should try to be a little bit more objective. Yeah, it's fine if you like the guy, but I think it's a little bit sickening. I mean, coming on there with jerseys and goat masks, come on, like it's a little bit too much. I think it's obnoxious, to be quite honest with you, and I think it's a little bit disturbing that a guy that old is in love with LeBron. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I get it, you're a fan, but I think that's a little bit overboard. So Shannon Sharpe was also feeling threatened by him, but for me, I think when you saw Kawhi Leonard lose, I think it made Nick Wright very happy. I think it made Nick Wright very happy, and people that are supporters of LeBron were also very happy. It was like, yeah, we can finally close the book on this guy because, oh my God, this guy was being compared to Jordan. But unfortunately for them, Kawhi Leonard is still young, and he's still going to come back next season, the season after that, and he's going to have multiple cracks at it at winning the NBA title. But for me, I think this is the reason why Nick Wright was jealous of Kawhi, because he was being compared to Jordan instead of LeBron, which is the argument that he really wants, and that's the argument he's been pushing for ever since he's been on TV. He's found a very slick way of jumping over Kobe and acting like as if Kobe was not the closest thing we saw to Jordan, instead saying it should be LeBron. But that's Nick Wright for you. So in my opinion, this is why I think he was jealous of Kawhi Leonard. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you agree with me? Do you think that Nick Wright was jealous that Kawhi was being compared to Jordan rather than LeBron, or do you think it's or do you think it's for some other reason, or do you completely disagree with me? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and don't forget, to subscribe to the Dreamerspro Short Clips channel, which we have linked in the description below. We're going to start posting more on there in the very near future, so we can get that channel percolating as well. So once again, thank you guys for your attention. This is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.